For those who don't know me, I'm one of the transplant surgeons here, and I look after Northwest abdominal retrieval as well as pediatric program in Manchester. So we're going to look back and see where we were, where we are, and where we are going. The first kidney transplant was done 50 years ago on the 22nd of March. The first pediatric kidney transplant was done on the 18th of March, a year later in 1969. And I was lucky enough to know that the name of the gentleman was Alan Miles. And her sister is here today. And thank you for letting me know about it. When I came here back in 2000, I happened to see the picture, a new picture of MRI and the old picture of MRI. And what was changed for me was the color on the front side of MRI. A surgeon here, which I work under when I came here, Bob Johnson, who's not here, he told me about the future, what the hospital is planning. And he was telling me that it's going to become a big building, etc. At the time, I didn't pick it up. But a few years down the line, that what he was saying became reality. The 4 hospitals joined together, the Eye Hospital, Children's Hospital, St. Mary's, and MRI. And that made it the biggest trust in the country, as far as I know. There are future plans in a very near future, which I was lucky enough to be a part of fundraising for that. This is a helipad, which we are planning to make for MRI. It would be on top of the car park of Grafton Street, and it will be linked to MRI through a tunnel. And that will be happening in a very near future, I hope. And that's how it's going to look when you come out of the car park to come to our transplant clinic. We have a vision, and hopefully it will become reality, that we will have a single transplant center in Manchester, which means that we would be doing heart, lung, kidney, pancreas, and maybe even liver transplant over here. So that would be the future. Please. So I was very excited when I came here. At the time, in 2000, this was the busiest transplant unit in the country. We were doing 140, 150 transplants a year. About 15 to 16 of them were from pediatric, rest of them were from adult. That was in 2000. I was lucky enough to work with Bob Johnson and also Professor Malek, who was supposed to be here today. And a lot of those 30 years and above, they have been treated by him and they know him. I was then lucky enough to have an opportunity to work with Bob Pearson, who is here, who is currently medical director. He left the transplant unit. I learned transplant, pediatric transplant from Hani Riyad, who is on the way from Glasgow and has promised to arrive here. I don't know how the traffic will be, but hopefully he will be here toward the end, near to 4 o'clock. A lovely gentleman here, Neil Parrott. I learned a lot from him. He is here, and many of you know him. And also Colin Short. I learned some medicine from him, which I'm very proud of. I don't know if my medical colleagues are not that happy about it, but there you are. And then I work with a lot of colleagues who are not with us anymore, but they are leading consultants in different parts of UK. Then it is us, the team here. And you can see some familiar faces over here look after you, from surgeons and medics. Some of them are here. And then there are new additions who has joined us recently and who will be looking after you. At the moment, they are smiling. I'll see what will happen in future. There is a fantastic pediatric team here, and I am very honored to work with them very closely. And it is worth, remembering them today. I don't think any one of them are here. And then there are lovely nurses who look after you. Some from the past, some are still looking after you, but there is plenty of them. And without them, I don't think we can look after you properly. Then there are administrative team which are in the background, which you don't know them, but you are in contact with them all the time. And then it is Gail, who has been here forever, and everybody knows her. And then that lovely Maria, who is here. Everybody loves Maria. She is there. And then there are people that you don't know and you don't see. They are the people who are really working hard throughout the night, throughout the day, to make sure that we don't do mistakes, they do tissue typing, they sort out your numbers, and make sure we transplant you the right organ. And then you have my lovely medical colleagues. Some of them have worked with us, and they have gone. Some are going, and there are some who are here who I'm very lucky to work with and continue to work with. I saw an article from Bob Johnson, who wrote about the history of Manchester, and it's lovely to read. I mean, for us medics, it was a beautiful abstract, and it is on the net. And I will urge people to look into that. That will show you how the system was back those days in 70s, and how the north and south dialysis units they were working, and how was the transplant unit. This is the picture of dialysis machine on the, back in 40s when it was started. Today, you see some, lovely sophisticated machines like this, and it is becoming more and more portable. And hopefully, in future, we will have those sort of dialysis machine the one that they can filter blood, implanted, and there is some works around it, and hopefully it will come. In terms of surgery, where we transplant was done 50 years ago. It is down here, and nothing has changed really. We are still transplanting in the same place, apart from maybe the suturing technique is slightly different. From preservation and perfusion fluid, there are a lot of research and work has been done, but the bottom line is we pack them, we make them sterile, and we preserve them in cold solution. There is a trend for machines to come. They have come. We have 4 of them in Manchester. 2 of them are new. The other 2, which is a slightly lower generation, was bought by Kidneys for Life for us, so that some of the kidneys which are non-standard kidneys, we can put on them, check them, and if the quality is good, we can transplant them. Or we can optimize those organs before we transplant them. There are also machines which are coming, which not only pump with a cold perfusion, but also through fluid, which are and blood, which are the same temperature as body. So these are machines which are already here, and a couple of units in UK. They are trialing it to see how it is for future. A little bit about tissue typing. A lovely lady called Ruth Shigley. I think she's here today. She is here. Yes, of course, Ruth. So Ruth sent me an email last week, and it was fascinating to know what she let me know. It seems that the first computerized waiting list was actually developed in Manchester back in 1985. And the first transplant from those computers was done back in 1985 from 2 recipients from Manchester. And this is the article that she sent me, the news article on that. So this is a part of our history as well. The challenges that we have is that we have plenty of patients on the waiting list. We have roughly around 8,000 patients on the national waiting list, and we only do around 3,000 kidney transplants. So there is a big gap over here. The challenge that we have, how we can increase the length of the life of the kidney, and how we can fight against chronic rejection. Back, please. Go back. Thank you. And then there are new immunosuppressive medication and how we can deal with their side effect. So those are the sort of challenges that we have and we will have for future. How about activity in Manchester? Sorry. Yeah. This is the waiting list. This is a national waiting list. The black row on the top shows the number of the patients who are on the national waiting list. Now, that is a combination of both active and suspended. Those who are active on the list and those who are, either waiting to become activated, or they have been ill, or they need certain things. So the list is massive. In 2008, NHSBT put a lot of work and a lot of money into increase the number of donations. The aim was to increase by number of donors by 50%. And in that way, they increased the number of transplants. That happened in 2013. We managed to increase the number of donors, especially cadaver one, by 50%. The vision is for 2020 to increase that number by 80%, which means hopefully we will have 1,700 or 800 donors compared to now, which is 1,500 donors, and to be able to transplant over 4,000 kidneys. And hopefully it can become reality by both increasing the number of live donors as well as cadaveric. On the back of that, the country arranged 7 to 10 retrieval teams, which they went out to go out and retrieve for the whole entire country. And Manchester is a part of that. We are joined with Leeds, and we look after the whole Greater Manchester, Yorkshire, Merseyside, and North Wales. And we retrieve. 1 week we go out, 1 week Leeds will go. We are the busiest retrieval team in the country. And I just put you for last year. Every month, so the right side is the abdominal retrieval team. This is what we do. And every month we have attended between 22 to 32 donors. So almost every day we are out for retrieval to be able to transplant. The Manchester annual report is there on the net. Every year we put it on the net, and Marcus, who manages our data, he's here today, and he's doing a fantastic job. But just going through that, this graph shows our activity a decade ago, 10 years ago. And as you can see, At the time, we were doing somewhere around 15 to 16 pediatric, and somewhere around 120 to 160 transplant altogether. Things has changed now. In terms of pediatric, we transplant both Alderhay as well as Manchester patients, and in the last few years, every year we have managed to do approximately 20 to 23 transplants a year. Majority of them, they were from living donors. So 60% of them are coming from living donor, rest of them are from cadaver population. I am very proud to show you this slide. This is, there were a twin which had exactly identical genetic disease. Their kidney failed at the same time. Only father could donate, and imagine the dilemma that the family had, which one to donate to. We managed, with the help of my colleagues, Mr. Forgash, who is here, and the rest of the team who volunteered, to be able to transplant these two simultaneously. I managed to speak to, when the donor, cadaver donor, appeared for one of them, I spoke to the rest of the country and managed to get the second kidney. And in pediatric hospital, after midnight, we managed to open 2 theaters and transplant them simultaneously. This is the first of a kind in Europe, to the best of our knowledge. We also managed to transplant the most complex pediatric transplant in UK, which was televised in Channel 5. So this is again from Manchester team. A lot has happened in living donation, not only in surgical way of it. In the past, we were operating on the side, we were removing rib, then we didn't remove rib, then we moved to the front. Nowadays, everything is happening through laparoscopic procedure. On top of that, we not only transplant relatives and non-relatives, but there is a lot of work from Manchester team with the help of Dr. Picton, who is here, to do, ABO compatible, desensitization is coming, and also through the part of national program, we are doing a lot of pair, pool, and altruistic donor. In fact, we have done the most altruistic donor in the country. This slide shows you the number of living transplant which has been done by various centers in the country. And as you can see, in 2014, we performed over 100. And for the 2 years, we managed to do more than 100 live donor transplant in Manchester, which was by far bigger, more than any other centers in the country. In terms of living donation, we have been very active in live donor program. Only recently there has been a slight dip. Last year we did just above 70, and that's not because we have dropped the whole country. The program is slightly dipping, and we are looking to see why we cannot increase those numbers. And hopefully in future you will hear that we have increased that number way above 100 a year. This is the slide from Marcus, the most recent slide showing how we have done in terms of transplant in the last 10 years. So the blue columns are the transplant that we have done every year. And as you can see, in the last 2 to 3 years, we have performed way over 300 transplants every year. And this is the first time that our active waiting list has slightly dipped. And we will see if that will continue, which would be a good news so for us. I put this slide about milestone just to show you where we have been and where we are. The very first transplant was done in 68? And then it took 20 years to do 1,000 transplants. Between 2013 to 2016, within 3 years, we managed to do 1,000 transplants. And it was only less than 18 months ago which we have done our 500 transplant. So on the 21st of March, the day before the final day of your anniversary, we managed to do 6,500 transplants. So what has future for us? So there will be a lot of work. There are a lot of work on stem cell engineering. This is a picture of a child who has had trachea transplant from stem cells. That may come toward us. There are works here. We do a lot of research. Kidney for Life is helping us, and a lot of people are helping us to do more and more research to do things like this. Mechanical devices will be coming. We already are using mechanical hearts that are happening, that are being implanted. And the kidney, which is called implantable renal assist, that would be coming, I think. And that's the one which can filter the blood. And you never know what the future will have for us. There are a lot of work in immunosuppression, and hopefully, one day, we will not need to take medication. There is a lot of work on immunotolerance, and who knows, maybe in my lifetime, we will have medications or we have tools that we can use for patients to have a transplant and not to use medications for that. Robotic work, both on transplantation and on the living donation, has come. They are coming. And it is very possible it will come to Manchester as well. And then 3D printing, which will be the future. There is a possibility that we will be doing 3D printing and then do a bit of culture and make kidneys out of those, functioning kidneys. March has been very sunny. You see, today's sun came out in Manchester, and I was looking. March has been very sunny for Manchester. A lot of our events has happened in March. So our first transplant was in March. First pediatric was in March. The waiting list, computerized first waiting list was in March. 1,000 transplant was in March, and 6,500 transplant was in March. So March is a good month for us. This slide just shows that how busy we are and how Manchester is, when we say we are the busiest, we are doing more than everybody else, you can simply see by far we are the busiest. We are doing almost 1 transplant a day. And that is not the work of surgeons, it's the work of the whole entire team. Medics, nurses, anesthetics, everybody who are involved with that. This is the team who looks after you currently. So, just to say that, over the years, transplantation is grown in Manchester Transplant Unit. From hundreds of patients waiting on the list, we have 1,000 of them. That is 10% of the national waiting list. That means we are dealing with a lot of patients, and we are managing to reach to a lot of patients and help a lot of patients one way or other. We are the biggest transplant unit in the country. We are transforming communities, our community and surrounding community who are affiliated with us. We are looking after elderly, children. We are looking for pancreas transplantation. We are looking for the entire Yorkshire, Merseyside, all the way down to Birmingham. So we're looking a lot of patients, not only Manchester patients. The whole idea that Manchester is a major player in UK, in Europe, and in transplant community makes us very proud. And it is something that we have done a lot of commitment toward, all of us, the Manchester team. I am delighted to watch this increasing complexity being taken up, multiple organs happening at the same time, and organs that we did not think we could transplant in the past, which we are doing now, and that would be a part of our coming future. So, to finish, I am taking part in cycling for 50 years of kidney transplantation, and I would love many of you to join us to do the thing together. Thank you very much.